Get that set up. All right, fantastic. So we are here today. I'm not here to talk about the virus. We're here to talk about the economic impact that it has on all of us. It's right now it's still in its infancy. It's going to get big. It's going to get really big. And governments are trying to help, but I think it's the business owners, the businesses that help themselves, with they're the ones that are going to survive. They're the ones that are going to really thrive. And that's what I want to help you, is give you things to think about in your business because if you think about it, whatever you planned for that you thought you were going to achieve in 2020, that's gone by the wayside. Whatever you looked at, everything is different right now. And all the plans that you made, they need to shift. They're going to change. And that's what I want to talk about today, are where do you need to look at in your business? What changes do we need to make to be proactive? Because people's spending patterns are going to be different. Our clients' buying needs are going to be different. We need to understand, what are the compelling needs now for our customers, because they've changed, really. And it's really we have to sort of really relook at where our business is today. So let's come in here and we're going to talk about what's the first step. Is really not the panic. See, what I want you to do is, for everybody here today, I want everybody to be able to leave this webinar with ideas of what you need to do to focus on your plan. Because and if you need help, that's I'm here. That's what we're all about. I've had a lot of people that said, "Hey, Steve, can you help me do that?" Yeah, that's available, but that's not what I'm going to be focusing on here today. But what we're going to be talking about are 14 different steps, actions that you need to take in your business to be able to possibly thrive, if not just survive in it. So obviously the first one is don't panic. We need to sit down, we need to stay calm, we need to stay cool, collective. Hopefully that's really what this presentation is all about. We need to plan. That's the most important thing. We can't just wing it, because when we wing it, if the things are moving too fast, we're not going to be able to see what's happening. But we don't overthink. Today's it's all about action. I think when when was it? I think when the 2008 or whenever it was the last big hit to the economy, we sit there and we tried to talk with our clients and change it. And things move so slow that they weren't able to react in time. And that's what we're getting out. And we're trying, as action coaches all over the world, are talking about these same things right now, to be able to help our clients quickly make the changes that they need to do in their business right now. Because I just saw that Mayor Curry today said that restaurants here in Jacksonville, that no more than 50 people can be in a restaurant. That includes employees, no alcohol after midnight, and that's starting at 5 p.m. today. And then I haven't really was able to hear exactly what President Trump said, and he's saying, hey, we should congregate in groups of 10 or more people. Restaurants should close. So it's going to bring a lot of challenges for a lot of people. So really, how do we prevent the panic? Is communication is really the key right now. One of the things that we need to quickly do. And if you see, there's a lot of companies that are trying to stay on front of this. So probably everybody that you do business with, you're getting some sort of an email with them, some sort of a communication of telling them what their processes are, what are they going through, how can they still help you, right? So who do we need to communicate to? Obviously as your team. They need to understand how we are going to operate as a business. Because when I'm sitting down and I'm talking with my clients right now, what they're finding is, I had one client that they wanted to do all these changes and they couldn't, but now they're able to make a lot of these changes that they want to, because their team sees that there's an issue, there's a crisis out there. They all have to come together. But the thing that we need to figure out is, once this crisis passes, how do we create and keep the same team involvement that we're going to get during this crisis, because during a crisis, everyone seems to come together. So we need to talk to, we need to communicate the team. We need to communicate to our customers. You know, what's safety protocols are we doing? How can they do business with us? You know, their buying habits might change. So we need to look at how we can get our products and services to them, right? There's a lot of restaurants that are going to really struggle through this unless they sit down and take a look at their business model and what can we do right now to be able to serve the needs of our community, because there are needs out there. You know, then looking at our overall networks, even our supplier and our stakeholders, you know, we need to find out what are they doing? Are they going to be able to supply us what we need? We need to let them know what we are doing so they can support us. And then overall, your community as a whole. So those are the areas, and those are the things that we need to communicate. You know, what do we need to communicate is what is our plan, how we're going to do it, what's our safety protocols, how can they do business with us, how can they communicate with us. You have a client that's an insurance company, and they went all virtual. No one's coming into the office, and they've been planning for this for a year. And it wasn't for this crisis, but they knew that there was always going to be something, whether it was a hurricane or whatever, and it was going to be hard for their clients to get hold of them. And they've created and used the technology to be able to take it there. So that leads us then to step 3. Is don't argue with the facts, or really what I like to say, don't argue with the truths. Mark Twain says, you know, get your facts first and then you can distort them as you please, because this is a pandemic, you know, that it's not hearsay, it's spreading. I mean, you know, President Trump is telling us we need to lock down right now. You know, it's how we live and how we change is totally changed in this. But, you know, we see that there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of misquotes from politicians on both sides of the aisle. What we need to sit down and really do is we need to cipher that and figure out what is the right information for us to make the best decisions. And that's what we need to be. So don't argue with the facts. Just understand that, hey, we do have to wash our hands. We need to communicate that with our employees. Those are the things. The next simple thing is, hey, we need to stay positive. You know, sorry, we're going backwards. You know, I love this quote from JFK. Is he talks about with the Chinese, how ironic is that? Has 2 brush strokes for the word crisis. One is for danger, the other one stands for opportunity. So we need to be aware of the danger, but recognize right now there is an opportunity for us to take advantage of in our business when we sit down and we take a look at it. Because again, panic and worry never helps. But we also have to look for small wins every hour within our business, and then congratulate our team as when they're changing their behavior to modify what we need to do within this crisis. You need to reinforce that with positive strokes. I was talking with a client today, and you know, normally they had this one person working up at the front counter, really didn't have that much confidence in them, but they needed to put them there. And how they responded to the people she thought it was amazing. She didn't think he was going to be as positive because he's sort of an older, grumpy guy. But the point was, she went up to him and said, hey, that's what we need from you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Because we have to catch people doing all the good things that we want. You know, like I said, where's the silver lining in all this for the business? You know, how can, you know, the quote, how can I sell toilet paper? Why do I say toilet paper? Because for some reason I have not figured out there's this big compelling need that everybody has to have toilet paper. Maybe because they see in socialist countries, the first thing everybody runs out of is toilet paper. But anyways, for your business or your industry, what's that toilet paper? What's that one thing that everybody needs that they can, that you can provide them? What's that service or product that you can be able to work with? And then, you know, sometimes working with our clients is less is better. Don't offer all your products and services that you have. Just focus on what is the most important to our clients right now, just to keep things in a positive way. But this is really the key. You need to be the leader. You have to lead your people, not only your team, your company, but you need to lead your clients, because they might not have access to this information we're going to be talking about today. You need to help them manage through this process, because this process is all about change. People hate change, right? That's step 5. And the one thing that we know about change is change in life is constant. There's always going to be change. You know, one of the success principles out there is, you know, we're all focused on this goal, but every once in a while, there's going to be this event. Right now is this big coronavirus event that's happening that's taking us away from our goal. So what do? Do we just focus on the virus, on this event, and all of our attention and all of our worry and all of our energy is going and worrying about something right now we really have no control over? The only things that we have control over is our actions. It's how we respond to it. You know, we have to respond to it in a healthy way, obviously. You know, we're doing this meeting virtually, not in person, right? We're washing our hands more. Those are the different things that we need to do. But we're also going to start talking about what are the changes that need to happen in our business. How do we need to look at our businesses differently? So when we sit there, and this is all about trying to get ahead of this change curve, because if we could be at the forefront, you have a better chance of being one of the leaders coming out of this really this downturn in the business economy. So we need to sort of look at, and again, what I talked about is lead the change. And Action Coach, we have this formula for change. It's really simple. There's always, the R stands for resistance. There's always a resistance to change, whether that resistance is coming from our customers, from our employees, or just us. But how do we increase? What's on the left side of the formula that will overcome that resistance? Well, the first one is dissatisfaction. Hey, we're all dissatisfied with what's happening with the economy right now, right? Or with our health, or what's going on. There's a lot of dissatisfaction, but a lot of people will just sit there and do nothing, right? Because they don't know what to do. And so there's not enough dissatisfaction for them to change. So the thing is that we need that multiplier. That V stands for vision. You could either give them a negative vision or a positive. The negative vision, you don't wash your hands, you could die. You know, if we would have said that to somebody like a month ago, it was like, you crazy. If I don't wash my hands all the time, I've been walking around for the last 50, 60 years. But now it's a real thing. It makes sense to us, right? Or we could have a positive vision. Where do I need to do it? How can I help my clients? What am I trying to do? And then the next step is our first steps. You know, from even with our clients and getting them to do business with it. What's their dissatisfaction? What's the vision that they're trying to move from? And then what's our credible solution, which is the F, which stands for first steps, that will help us to overcome any resistance for doing anything different within their business. Oops, sorry about that. All right. Rules of the game have changed. We need to play by the new rules. You know, we need to play our business game based on these new rules. And these new rules are being written, excuse me, these new rules are being written every day. So we need to be focused and we need to understand what's going on. So we need to look at our supply chain, our products, our services, pricing, whatnot. You know, we need to look at our distribution model. How are we distributing our products to our clients? Does that need to change? You know, are there other supply issues? Are our suppliers able to get us what we need to be able to make our product or service for our clients? You know, will our customers pay for the products in the same way? You know, the important thing here is don't wait for your client to find another solution. We need an alternative source. We need to be at the head of that curve and really be able to help solve their problems. You know, is getting, product inventory to, maybe right now, even though your suppliers are saying, hey, yeah, this is, we can be able to serve you, you maybe need to start looking for other suppliers, because you never know what's going to happen. Always have some additional resources and start building up some of those relationships right now. And then the next thing too is when you sit down and look at it is operationally within your business, where's your weakest link? Is it your team, or is it lack of team? Is it your processes, or your services? What is your sales process? Is it your marketing process? Where's the weakest link within your business? Now is the time to sit down and try to step back, take a bird's eye view in your business, and really take a look at what you need to do to create or to change to make your business better. All right, so that's the fifth change. Change is going to happen. Next thing we need to sit down and we need to look at is comes down is six is to know your cycles, right? What do I mean by cycles? If you think about it, a farmer out there, he lives by the cycles of the weather. It's and every business cycle very closely resembles this natural cycle of spring, summer, winter, fall. If the farmer in the spring, he's planting his crops and he's getting ready for harvest. In the summer, his crops are growing and he's beginning to harvest his crop. In the fall, he's beginning to prepare for winter and waits what's ahead. He knows that there's really no cash coming in the winter. But so for us, what do we need to do? In the spring, we need to be cultivating business and getting ready for our summer growth, right? Then in the fall, we need to get ready for winter. This is where you start cutting back. In the winter, this is where we need to sit down and really make sure that we have cash in our business to be able to survive this winter. And then, and that leads into spring. Now, these business cycles, they last about 7 or 10 years. If you've been in business long enough, you've lived through one of these business cycles. And it always happens. Whenever the economy dumps and there's a winter, there's always a spring, there's always a summer and the fall. The question is this cycle going to be 7 years or it's going to be 10 years? Right now, up to this point, I think most people, or at least I was sitting there planning on this was going to be another long summer of growth that was going to be coming in. But in the back, I kept talking to my clients is, we know winter is coming. What are the things that we need to do to get ready for that? Because businesses that have cash during the winter, that's when you could start down and you could start buying new products, start buying new machinery, because because you can get them at a better price than you do when you're in season, right? It's a lot of times where a lot of my clients are growing through acquisition. They're looking for businesses there was an HVAC company that what he would do is he understood his business cycle really well. And every time when his winter came, he would understand that there was a bunch of guys that were working out in a truck and that was his major competitors and that were lowballing him all the time, but they weren't pricing themselves well enough to survive a winter. They weren't thinking ahead. And so what he ended up doing is he would buy these guys out. He'd basically buy their customers, give them a job because they had no cash flow coming in. And then he would sell service agreements to their customers and be able to do repairs and whatever. And he like tripled his business in no time at all. But you have to understand the cycles of the business. And that's really important to understand where we're at and knowing that we might be going into winter or just might be a fall. We might head back into, spring really quick and skip winter. You never know. But now here, this is really the most important part coming in is really cutting back. Where do we need to cut back within our business? We know cash is king. We need to understand, but what the problem is that we can't cut back so much to where it hurts our customer service, because our customers right now is our lifeblood. We don't for our company. They're the ones that are going to keep us surviving. We don't want to get them looking to go somewhere else. But we need to sit down and start looking at where are the places that we don't need to be spending, right? I mean, with all the stores and where everything is, there's not going to be a lot of places. But we don't need to buy extra equipment right now. We don't need to be buying a lot of different things. It's time to sort of cut back on where we're at. You know, where could we reduce some of those outlays? But most importantly, is go back to your vendors. It's time to renegotiate, right? They're in a situation, they don't want to lose you as a customer. Now's the time to get some better terms from some of your vendors. You know, as you know, sometimes things are going to slow down. They're going to postpone some buying decisions until a little bit later. But most importantly, during this time, is keep marketing, keep selling, because this is the time where you can be able to gain market share. You know, if you can, do not cut your marketing budget during this time. This is probably the most important time to be continue marketing, because this is where you're going to be able to gain customers and gain them for life. And it's really most important. And there's a lot of inexpensive ways to really look at your marketing and say, as the marketing that you're doing is it the most efficient? Because marketing is easy. Marketing is math. Is how much does it cost me to buy a lead? How much does it cost me to buy a customer? So once I understand the math when it comes to marketing, now I sit down and it's the time to really start testing and measuring where to put my money. Where do I get the best bang from my marketing decisions? Because if I'm not testing and measuring, and if I'm not tracking this information, you're just winging it. And winging it is not a strategy, as a friend of mine would tell me. So we need, and why do we wing it? Is because we don't have a marketing plan. We just wing it. We try a little bit here, we try a little bit there, and a little bit there when it comes to marketing. The problem with that is marketing, for it to work, it needs consistency. We can't just keep jumping around. We need to focus. We need to focus on the strategy. We need to focus on the offer. We need to focus on the target. Who are our A and B customers? Who are the people that will value what we have to offer them? Those are the people that we need to market our services to. So even though we cut back, that's one of the things. The next thing we need to do is extending credit, our credit. You know, as Bob Hope says, you know, bank's a place that will lend you money if you can prove that you need it, right? So now, before things get really bad, you need to get some credit right now. So go in and work on getting lines of credit, whether you do it personally or whether you do it for within your business. It could help you to give you that extra cash flow to just be able to get through these hard times that we have right now. And you know, like I said, personal ones as well. And then look at the loans that you have right now. I mean, the Fed just dropped their rates to 0. This might be the time to refinance a lot of our loans or mortgages to be able to get to lower our expenses and lower our break-even points within our business. These are things that we need to sit down is look and find the lowest rates that are out there that are available to us. These are things that are really important that we take advantage of this now. And we need to take advantage of it before business really drops and it's harder for us to be able to get that. Because if we don't necessarily need it now, this is the time to go in and get that additional financing if we can. Then number 9, this is a hard thing to look at, is looking at our staffing situation. What type of changes do we need to take in for our staff? Do we need to cut back? You know, I think there was one airline that cut, I think 10% of its workforce because everything was dropping. There was no flights. That I think it was the El Al, the Israeli airline, because nobody was flying in and out of Israel. They didn't just lay them off. They fired because they knew they had to make that decision because it needed to be done for them to be able to survive. You know, so sometimes look at your employees. Is this a good time for them to take vacations? Or just maybe doing some cutbacks by attrition, just like one at a time. So if somebody leaves, now is, don't look to rehire them. Sometimes you just have to really make those hard decisions when it comes to employees. I have one client that is looking at, they know that the demand is going to be decreased, and a lot of their employees that come in is they take the bus to come into their plant, and I think the buses are going to weekend hours, so there's not going to be a lot of early buses, so they're not going to be able to get to work on time unless the business owner wants to go and drive and pick them up or try to get them an Uber. So what we're looking at is, because of looking at the supply and demand, is maybe using this an opportunity to start their day a little bit later, because the demand is they won't have as much push on their demand. So that's an option. Can we cut back hours of our employees, or just operations of when we are open? Walmart has cut back on the hours. It's not open 24 hours because they needed time to be able to restock the shelves. Stuff was going off the shelves faster than they could do it. So they were going ahead, and they have different hours within it. So these are a lot of different things that we need to look at. And some other things too is looking at, employee bonus, maybe just suspending that at that time, because, there's no extra money to give the bonus out, right? So I'm throwing these out for a lot of different ideas to just get you thinking differently in your business. How do we apply this into your business, right? I mean, the next one, number 10, is you have to plan to work from home, or how are we planning to do that? What technologies are needed? A lot of businesses right now are starting to try to figure this out. This crisis is speeding up that process and making this happen. As I was talking about, it was one of my clients is a property casualty insurance company, and they sort of knew this trend was coming. And so, a year ago, she bought or 6 months ago now, bought a new phone systems that allows them to easily work out of the office. And from a client's perspective, they have no idea where the person is at. And it's giving them the flexibility to give their customers the perception of giving them the same service of being open, but also being able to protect their employees at the same time. What type of meetings do we need to have with our team? Are we, right now our team is, if everybody's working from home, that's great, but we're losing that communication, that camaraderie within our business and within our workplace. So maybe the thing is using, a free conference call.net or Zoom. I like using Zoom, and have Zoom online meetings where you could see everybody's face within that meeting, and start the day with a 5-minute stand-up meeting, or now we'll call it a sit-down meeting. And everybody is just start the day. Everybody sort of say, hey, what's on their plate, how they're doing, how they're feeling. Let everybody still be able to connect to each other. But that's the most important thing. Also too, as on the reporting, is a lot of businesses are starting to rethink and looking at, how can I do more online banking? How can I make it deposits from, instead of having to go to the bank? There's a lot of different things that we need to look at. What do we need to do? How do we serve our customers from home? I talked about the banking and mail. How does that change how we communicate with our customers, right? Because what's happening right now, this could be weeks, it could be months. Maybe this is just going to be a 3-month issue, especially the way that we're just locking down right now just to prevent the thread. We can get it under control, and you know what? Boom, everything is going to go back to the way it was 3 months from now. But maybe it's going to be 6 months from now. Maybe it's going to be a year from now. We don't know. So we have to be able to sit down and plan and sort of say, what other arrangements can I do in my business to be able to meet with it? Even if you have a small business working by yourself and you have a small office, instead of having people that come into your office, arrange online meetings. It's simple, it's easy. There's a lot of great technology that will allow you to do it, and you will find you'll probably like it a lot better doing it that way. So then next thing is switching your business, looking at maybe doing online. How can we do more business online? How can we do our switching more sales online? Can we do deliveries? I mean, one of the biggest companies that are going to be hit, or industries that are going to be hit, is the hospitality and the restaurant industry. You know, what can restaurants do right now? And there's, you know, is maybe changing the whole business model of how they serve, and, you know, what are the things that our customers need. Maybe they can't come into our store because, you know, right now in Jacksonville, the limit is just 10 people or 50 people in the store. But maybe set up a delivery program, or have people to come by when, and I know there's a bunch of businesses I saw on the internet that started doing it yesterday, that you come by, boom, we'll run out your order to your car, you know, and limit the amount of personal contact that we have. You know, target industries or businesses that, okay, how can you bring in lunches for the organization? Whatever you could do, think about how people you can use your product or service outside coming in and dealing with you, right? You know, so whether it's online, phone delivery, we need to look at how do we, some of our staffing changes based on this type of stuff. You know, if people don't come in, again, going back to, we have to go out to them. We have to figure out, again, when does a sale occur? A sale occurs when there's a compelling need that's met by a credible solution that has perceived value. No business has ever lost a sale. I preach this to my clients. No business has ever lost a sale based on price. They just didn't see the value in what you were offering. And the reason our value we didn't have a perceived value is because we weren't understanding what the client's compelling need is. Not what their, I need to get taxes done. No, why do I need to? What's the compelling need that I have to do this? You know, and sometimes it's, I need to do this so I avoid IRS, whatever it is. But we need to understand what that compelling need is. Why do I need, that person needs that product or service? You know, some people just don't like to cook. Some elderly can't go out. They have a hard time doing it. So if you're a restaurant, how can I serve that community? You know, and some of the elderly that can't come out, right, especially right now, your normal clients, how can I set up online meetings with them and make it super simple, easy if they're not technology savvy, to be able to still talk with you face to face, feel secure about continuing to do business with us. You know, take a look at, you know, looking at your best customers and how can we package things differently for them to be able to give them more value. I was working with a dry cleaner. We talked about different ways that she could offer her best customers an additional service at this time to make things easier for them, and again, create value in their mind. So once things go by, they'll never want to do it, but most importantly, they're going to talk to their friends and business associates and say, hey, this is a great company, you got to do business with them, right? So, and it really comes down to is we have to communicate with our customers and let them know what our changes are. We need to communicate with them to see how their buying patterns have changed. How do they want to do business with us? If we don't understand that, we can't solve that problem, right? So, and then the next one is we have to continue to market and sell. I have to say, I mentioned it before, it's really important, is that we must keep marketing. It's not an increase, we have to increase, not decrease. This is the time, if you're working with a variety of media, this is probably a good time to negotiate, right? Because the biggest thing that most businesses do is they cut back on marketing, which is the biggest mistake. So take advantage of that. So at least if you're going to cut back on advertising, get better rates for the same amount of advertising you're doing. So you're paying less for the same product, or say, hey, I'm going to keep my advertising budget the same, but I want more value to it. go back and negotiate and say, hey, you got a lot more inventory. Help me out. Help me survive during this. Give me some bonus commercials here, or give me an extra ad. Do whatever it is that it doesn't maybe cost them, but it gives you more value. So there's a variety of different ways that we could sit down and we could negotiate with our media vendors. But we need to create new offers and maybe rates for some customers to be able to help them when they're struggling. And sometimes maybe it's changing some payment terms for some of our best customers to help them through this time. And then the last one in here is I talk about is measure your 5 ways. My clients understand what this means. There's really, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in it. If you want to learn more about how this formula works, give me a call afterwards and we can set up a meeting and we'll go through it. But there's most businesses understand how many customers they have. They know what their revenue, and they might know whether they have a profit or not, right? But those are outcomes, right? What are the drivers of profitability, right? If we want more customers, we can't wake up one day and just say, hey, I want more customers out there. What you need to do is say, measure 2 things. When you break everything down to the lowest common denominator, to get more customers, you need to do 2 things. You need to generate more leads, and you need to increase your closing percentage, your conversion rate, right? So if you have the same amount of leads coming in, you need to convert more of them to customers, or you need to just get more leads coming in because your conversion rate's good. Either way, you need to be able to understand what those numbers are, because if you don't know what those numbers are, you don't know what strategies you need to implement to be able to increase the profitability of your business. Because once we understand how many customers we have or what we need to do to grow the customers, the next 2 factors that go from customers to revenue is how much does my client spend with me each time? If you're in a service industry, what's my average billable hour? I do that a lot with my CPA clients that I'm dealing with, is getting them to measure what's their average billable client, and then how many billable hours what's the average billable hour per client, or what is my average number of transactions per client? Because this is where the profitability of a business comes in, is what can I do to my current customers, increase that average dollar sale, get them to come back and purchase from me over and over again, right? And then so customers times average dollar sale times average number of transactions is going to give us our revenue. And then revenue multiplied by our profit margins will give us our profits. The bottom line secret is if you know those 5 numbers and can increase each of them by 10%, just 10%, you will increase your overall profitability by 61%. It's worked over and over time. That's the Action Coach secret sauce. I just gave it away. But you need to have a plan to be able to sit down and do it. And one of those 5 ways was the average number of transactions. And that's about repeat business, right? Repeat business is where the profitability of our business is our existing customers are our best customers. And our best customers are the ones that should be able to be telling and being our raving fans to their friends, families, and business associates of why they should do business with us. That's the key. And most of the reason that is how do we get repeat business is by asking for it, is ask for referrals. Most businesses don't do those 2 things, right? We need to sit down and we need to sort of sometimes create deals just for them, for our best customers during this time, as I mentioned before. Sometimes buy in bulk, cash up front, if they're going to be buying more of your product or service. If they pay you up front, you'll give them a discount, because why? Cash is king, right? Sometimes it's, depending on your business, is just keeping cash flow, is sell some products at cost. Sell them a certain product at a particular item, a slow item, just sell it to them as cost. So you don't have that sitting in inventory. You can just get it off your shelves to be able to use that cash to pay bills or whatever. But again, communication is vital. We need to have it. How do we communicate to our clients? Is a lot of it. That's what our marketing is all about. Do we have a database of all of our current clients that we can email with them on a consistent basis, be sending them more offers? We need to have these things in place of letting them know how we can solve their problems. And they will have a lot of problems during these times that we can help them with. We need, and the only way we're going to do is send surveys out to our clients and find out what do they need? How can we help them with their needs during this downtime, right? Those are the things that are really the most important things that we need to sit down and talk about. And really, it's really the 80-20 rule, is that 20% of your customers really account for 80% of your business. You need to sit down and understand who that 20% is and service the crap out of them. Let them understand, because if they go away, that's a big chunk of business. We need to protect that business and getting them back. And they're the ones to say, hey, do you have because they understand you're in the same boat as they are. Hey, do you have a friend, family member, another business associate that you think that we could offer them the same great service that we're offering you? It's a simple question as that, right? So 14, step number 14 is have common sense, have some compassion. Richard Branson says the key is to set realistic customer expectations. That's where the communication is really so important. Then not just meet them, but exceed them. I was talking with somebody and he asked me, he goes, Steve, what's the difference between just being ordinary and extraordinary? It's simple. One word, extra. What can we do extra right now? And this is right now, if we want to be extraordinary during these hard times, what are the extra things that we need to do? Because if we put the extra hours in now, if we put the time in now, even though we're super busy and we got a lot of things, but if we're setting the structure up right now, it will help us we need to build the sails right now. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to adjust our boat during the when these winds of this are coming. Right, I couldn't think of a good analogy. Sorry about that. So what it comes down to is over-deliver on our customer service. Is stay clean, don't touch our customers, right? The ones that we still have to see face-to-face, provide them with sanitizer. So I went into Costco the other day, there was, a lot of stores will have wipes that you can go in and do it. They not only had the wipes, but they had the people that were checking people in their cards, they were giving a wipe to every person. Right? They're creating a personal, they're personalizing, saying, hey, we understand your health is important to us. And it's really putting people first. That's the important thing, is be nice, take a chill pill. There's a lot of crazy things that are going on. People are going to be really upset. They're going to be yelling at us. Just, if we're calm, we will make them calm, and really my last word of advice is, don't buy too much toilet paper. It's like, I have no idea why people are hoarding the toilet paper out there, but just have some common sense. Just buy what you need and make sure that there's everybody else, because when there's nothing on the shelf, that's what freaks out everybody. So in the spirit of providing extra, I'm going to provide you with one extra step. It's simple. It's from the information that you took today. Hopefully you took some good notes and come up with some great ideas. You need to create a 90-day action plan of what do I need to do differently over the next 90 days, not to just survive this crisis, but what can I do to thrive in this area of opportunity? This is a time of opportunity that we need to do. So areas that we need to work on, we need to create a communication plan, how we're going to communicate to our team, our customers, our vendors, right? What's our staffing and team engagement plan? Are we going to cut back, changing hours? How are we going to do it? We need to create that plan or have a plan in place so when things change for the worse, we could put that plan into place and not be fuddling around trying to figure out what's happening. What's our operational supply? What's our supply chain? What's our distribution model? How do we need to change the way that we do businesses on a day-to-day basis? Sometimes you're going to have to break your business model and just and start from scratch and come up with a new way to deliver our products and service. And if you can create that, if you can come up with that little niche, you will be able to survive. You can make millions off of this tragic opportunity that we have here. But then also the other thing is, what's your financial plan? What are the, somebody was saying, no, I cannot hear you. But if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat box. Sorry, I had you on mute. Sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. But we have our financial plan. You know, what we talked about is, where do we cut expenses? How do we extend our credit, right? Accounts receivable, that should be accounts payable. I hit the O instead of the P. But putting this together last night in a hurry to make sure that I wanted to get out ahead of the curve for everybody in this plan. But then what's our technology plan? How are we going to be, what technology do we need to do to work better at home, to be able to communicate with our clients better? This is the time to sit down and sort of say, what are the tools available for me? And sometimes there's very industry specific tools that can really help you. And then our marketing plan. How do we revise our marketing plan to take our business to that next level, to really use this time to gain market share, right? So at this time, if you have any questions or anything like that, please put that into the webinar chat box in there. I don't know if you, that would probably be the easiest way, and we could all sort of sit down and see the questions. But really where it comes down to is create that 90-day plan. But most importantly, if even going through this, you have great ideas, but you're not really sure where to start, how to do that, is I'm available to help you, to help businesses put this 90-day business crisis plan together. If you want to call my office, give me a call. Let's set up I'll offer you a free coaching session where we can just talk about some of the things that we learned here today. And what I'm trying to do right now is create an online workshop. We're helping businesses to take some of the information that we did here today and actually put it into a 90-day written plan. So look for some announcements coming up. I'm going to be doing that, hopefully working on that within the next couple of days. So within the next week, we could be putting that workshop on. So if, do we have any questions or anything like that? Other than that, I will let you guys go. Have a very good evening. And right now is stay positive, show gratitude, and this is a time of opportunity, and be blessed. Thank you very much. Bye now.